Good morning and welcome to this episode of Happiness is Real Morning Show. I'm your host, Camilla Calberg, founder of Calberg Coaching and transformational coach. This episode is brought to you by Calberg Coaching, where we help executives create a better life on the other side of divorce. To learn more about me and book a discovery conversation, go to www.calbergcoaching.com. And with that, no further ado, let's dive into today's episode. All right. Today, I am so excited to dive into asking for help before filing for divorce or even in the planning phase, if that's where you are, and the importance in general of asking for help when you are in any major life transitions like divorce. And if you're here with me now from LinkedIn, type in live so I know that you are watching me. Or if you're from Instagram, send me there's one here, hi, send me a hi. Or I really encourage you to drop in questions or reflections as when I share, because that's the only know I know that you are here. And thank you so much for being here with me today. All right, asking for help. In the beginning of what I now know was the beginning of my divorce process was the scariest part of my process ever. I was unhappy. I was emotional, unstable. I had no control of my life. That's what I felt. And asking for help when you feel like that, it's not easy. I've been there myself. It's not easy. But here's what I learned the hard way. You are the CEO of your life. You are the captain of your life. And I said, just put out on LinkedIn, it's like, imagine you, and you may already now be the entrepreneur or the CEO of your company. What do you do if your company doesn't hit the financial targets? It's not your company, your team don't hit the financial target. You ask for help. We are so trained to ask for help in our professional role, but we don't ask for help when it comes to our life. But what is most important is that we have a stable and happy life, because then you can thrive in your professional commercial role. But we kind of learned it the upside down or from a different twist and perspective when we were in school. But that perspective, and I want to redefine, because it's so important to ask for help in any life challenging situation you may face. All right, so this I learned the hard way, to ask for help, because I got used to be in a challenging relationship that didn't serve my life values. I got used to be unhappy. I got used to feel alone in my relationship. I got used to be with a partner I could not really trust. His temper was it was really hot, and he could swap from one moment to the other, and you could never know whether he's actually was going to join you or whether he was maybe going to join you, but he was very aggressive and angry, or whether he would just say, I'm not going to do that. You never knew when he was there. You never know when you were really the one that you are going to lean against, and being your rock in your life. That is a rock in my life. It was a very important component, because that's the reason why I cobble up, is to have a rock in my life. I also knew that I wanted a family. I wanted a family. I also live in a society where it's normal to be together as a family unit. I also know that breaking the news that I'm breaking up the family, it would kind of call pebbles in the water. Why? You are so happy. He's so nice. It's like all those things kept me living on my life on lies for years, and it procrastinated. I procrastinated even asking for help. But what I witnessed was I sat there, I would say idle. I don't know if that was idle, maybe it was, but I sat there and I was not the mommy I wanted to be. I accepted to be called names. I accepted to be in an environment that didn't make me happy. And so there's some point remember that in your life, you just know, boom, that comes no more. No more, because what we done is that we invested money in this relationship, and I knew deep down that nothing would change unless he wanted to heal his childhood trauma. And that's from, if you listen to my recording or my interview with Despina Mervido last Sunday, healing your childhood trauma is so important, because if you don't haven't yet healed your childhood trauma, you bring that trauma into your adulthood and your adult life, and it affects your relationship at work and your intimate relationship, because you are hurt. And there's some things that was not right at that point in time, and you had those very limiting beliefs. You may want to take control. It's such a big topic, but healing from childhood trauma is really, really important. But I committed because I so much wanted this family environment. And being in this norm that I had my family, but I just could see that nothing changed. I didn't see the results I so much wanted to do. And actually, I took kind of my CE hat on, because I put up I got him to commit on some quarterly results, because I had to feel and experience results in order for me to be in this relationship. And now my dog is with me and he want to go out, but we'll do that just after the slide. All right. So as I wasn't seeing the results, what I did was then, luckily I was working with a business coach. And I can't remember the exact conversation, but I knew the day I was turning the page in my mental book, in my mental life book, is that because I've been the questions I've been asked for many years when wanting to up level my advisory business was, how much do I accept in my life? What are my non-negotiables in my life? What are my negotiables? Like when I work with clients, what do I want to be flexible on? What do I not want to be flexible? And that was some very, very powerful questions that helped me define and frame who I was and who I want to become, and also what I tolerate and what I don't want to tolerate. But here's the trick was, I tolerated so much in my private life, and I set up my boundaries for my clients. And I knew how I want to drive my company, but I was struggling in my private life. And maybe that resonates with you. And I was sitting there and saying, how happy do I want to become? Am I really happy? Am I really happy? Do I want to be this aggressive mom, the unhappy mom? Because when you're living stress, you cannot tap into the happy emotions or better feeling emotions and tell you better feeling stories. It's absolutely impossible. And so we were so lucky to be asked or be we were so lucky to have this. I'll say, how do I phrase that? All right, rather than the January before I filed for divorce in April in that year, we were seeing a child psychologist because my daughter, our daughter, was really struggling in kindergarten. Nobody knew. I knew, I told you before, I knew why she was struggling, because I was struggling as well. So the penny dropped and we needed help. She needed help, right? It was all about, it's outside world that had to change. It's an outside world. I'm fine. So now every focus, all focus was on my daughter, helping her to heal. And we were working with this psychologist, which again, getting the right resources on board. The price tag is not the same as good quality. That I know to be true. But the higher the price tag, maybe the more experience, but certainly also, like, I know I'm sidetracking now, but also what I learned to be true is that, talking to my mom, who is a psychologist, like not a psychiatrist, is that you have to work with those who have been there themselves, who have healed their own trauma. And so I was working with a child psychologist who couldn't tame or couldn't see through this aggressive behavior. But I used the child psychologist kind of free room, or our room for conversation, as the doorway to file for divorce. And he just showed up, my ex-partner just showed up as being really aggressive. And we were talking about how to help my daughter. And there I brought up how unhappy I was. And I could just, I sat in this room, and I felt again that this professional resource we had engaged and I put on our team, she was not able, she didn't have the capacity to meet where we were. And that is fine, because we don't have capacity, we don't have the skills to support every trauma that we experience, because life is broad, right? Life is broad. Different family breakups, a different family environment, blah, blah, blah. That's what we have to honor. And I'm grateful that I'm learning that. And I can now share that with you, so you can make the choice that is best for you. All right. So I was sitting there and I decided to ask for help. And so the way I asked for help is that I decided to no longer to be in this relationship. How do we do this? How do we break up? How do we tell? And at that point, she was really good, because your daughter, your children can never be a sack of potatoes. And he was like, okay, she goes from 7 days in one home and 7 days in another home. But we're talking about human beings. We're talking about hearts and souls and minds, and they're not just the potatoes. So here's about, before even fighting for divorce, have the conversation, and have the conversation from a conscious perspective and a conscious mind, because here's what I know to be true. And when you Google it, you will see all different research on this. I think, Adrian, that's just the norm, right? Never do big decisions when you're in stress. Never do that. That's why it's so good to work with someone and ask for help before you file for divorce. Because if you make a big decision when you're in stress, you ride on the negative emotions, and the result will not be what you want. The result will not be what you want. And that I learned, I don't know when, but I learned it the big way. No, not the big way. What is the big way? I learned it several years ago. Never take a decision when you're in stress. And that I really want to give you. Never make a decision when in stress. And here what I want to say. And then, so that's what my lead way into being aware of what I wanted to achieve. That was my lead way into the life I wanted to live. Because when I was working on my coach, even before realizing that relationship was not serving me, I had documented for myself, my life values, my non-negotiables, my negotiables. I knew my North Star. I knew my path. And that made it so much easier to say, when I was asking the questions at the end, I dared to own my without apologizing for my answer. So, because that's really important, not to apologize for why you say what you say. And I knew that the relationship I was in no longer served me. And when you come from that perspective, it's so much easier to say, okay, what is then the best solution? What is the best solution. So the work that I did on myself, I got as much as I could non-attached from the divorce, because I knew where I was taking my life. And that is a very powerful shift. And I had a conversation with a client of mine last week. It's about that she had experienced the same. When you are in balance, you make the right decision, and you get in balance when you work with someone who can ask the right questions to help you find out what you want. So that is the reason why I say, first of all, divorce has several phases. Before filing for divorce, or maybe in the planning of it, that I combined as one. Then it's when you're in it. There's a different set of questions that you have to ask for, and and get new people on board. And then after divorce, it's a different phase. And in each phase, you may decide to go do this on your own. But I just want to ask you this question: how wise is that to run such a challenging project on your own? What are the consequences on your health? What are the consequences in your professional life? What are the consequences in your what consequences do you put on your children if you manage your divorce project on your own? I learned it the hard way, but I would say also the smart way, to get resources on board that I trusted, and everything shifted the moment I asked for help. Everything shifted the moment Sorry, my dog is eating the door. Everything shifted the moment I dared to embrace the unknown, and that is asking for help. Asking for help to get and create a better life for yourself is the best you can do. It's the best you can do. So that wraps up what I had planned to talk about today, about asking for help. If you found a value in it, please take a moment to drop me a comment, as well as a screenshot, and share this on your favorite social platform or platforms, to help your friends and loved ones thrive through major life transitions. And remember, happiness is real wherever you are on your divorce journey. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and the next chapter of your life can truly be your best one yet. Is bigger. That phrase is really, really big, because I bet there's a better life waiting for you on the other side of divorce. This wraps up today's episode. Remember to tune in daily for inspiration and practical advice to help you create a more thriving, happy future on the other side of divorce. With this, let's close the episode of today. We'll be in again tomorrow, where we'll talk about what to ask for help when you are going through divorce, because that's a different set of help you need to have. All right, that was a different phrase, but that's a different set of questions you should ask, and you need a different type of help. With this, enjoy this beautiful Thursday whenever you listen to the replay on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. Enjoy.